Greetings, and welcome back. This is Shayna Parker, the president of Capital City Carolers, and I'm so happy to be here talking with each and every one of you again. This show is the Christmas Carolers Conversation, the one place you can come and where we're going to talk about matters in a manner that would get you to thinking, get you to contemplating, and our hope is to inspire you into making different actions and facilitating different behavior that can help our society at large come together on a harmonious note. And so, with that, the season's topic that we're going to be dealing with is family forgiveness. And in the previous episode, just giving an overview of the different channels we're going to be going down, we talked about the various family roles, specifically in the bloodline. We talked about moms, dads, we talked about stepmoms, stepdads, we talked about uncles and aunts, we talked about cousins, brothers, sisters, in that immediate bloodline, in that immediate, family unit. And we're living in a day and time now where, and this is not bad, but there are so many family units that are being created, that are being fostered because the natural family is in a crisis. The natural family is dealing with trauma, and it is a difficulty that we see in the land with those traumas truly getting properly healed so that people can go forward. So we're in the middle of the holiday season, and usually that is a time where people struggle a lot. You have those that are going through divorces, you have those that have lost, mother due to death of sickness or trauma or an unexpected death. These things impact human beings on so many different levels, and so we are definitely wanting to just take time to uncover the fact, how do you let go of things that happen? For this episode, we're going to be talking about unmet expectations and how to deal with them. It's a huge topic, I can definitely tell you from my personal experience, because the matter of unmet expectations can cause a person to experience so many emotions. For example, you can experience disappointment when you are encountering unmet expectations. You can experience frustration when you're encountering unmet expectations. Of course, you can experience sadness and anger. You can experience a lot of things. And as people in a ruthless society, more and more people are trying to just cover up our natural response to unmet expectations, by smiles, by false laughs, by getting into other things. And we are here at Capital City Carolers to call your attention back to that area that most recently happened, particularly with your family, in hopes that we can help inspire for some forgiveness to take place. And so, with that, I want to start by just diving in to the mental gap that unmet expectations creates. Because in your thoughts, you're really thinking that you are going to be able to obtain something that maybe in some cases you never have before, or that you have, but it wasn't necessarily planned to be attained. And that can really open up a door to start the whirlwind of dealing with the various things. And so I want to walk down the path of the various coping methods, usually that people experience one way or another to one degree or another. And I want to know from you whether you can relate. So, the first coping method or strategy that I want to bring before my audience today is dealing with distractions. Usually, when we as humans get hurt or injured, or our soul is torn in some type of way, usually distraction can definitely be an out. And what I'm here to say is, I want you to consider with those family members that you are related to, or that you are married, you're married into a family. I want you to consider, are there any family members that you have difficulty dwelling in harmony with? Now, by all means, different injuries that occur in family relationships, they can vary, some to extremity and some that are not as extreme. I'm specifically talking about, for this segment of the conversation, those injuries that are not fatal, that are not threatening to your permanent psychological condition. And what I mean by that is specifically dealing with those minor offenses that can just turn into mountains. And so I want to ask the audience out there to consider, when it comes to mom, dad, stepmom, stepdad, or in laws, cousins, brothers, or sisters, when an offense takes place, what is your course of action? Is it distractions? Is it I'm just going to stay away from them for a while and maybe go work out instead? Or maybe become very focused on the things that I needed to be doing? Or maybe spend countless of hours on social media. There are so many different distractions that people in general engage in, and we do that when sometimes we are overloaded with emotions. And so I want to say to my audience that may be experiencing distractions, I want to caution you, instead of drowning yourself in work, instead of, just finding anything to get away, take a moment to plan, watch that, plan a good 5 to 10 minutes where you can actually write out your experience with that hurt that occurred. You'd be surprised when you literally write out your experience. It opens your mind up to be able to see what transacted and it helps to be able to think more rationally about what could have happened. And in some cases, we find out who we really are, what we really want out of relationships. And so that is my challenge if you've dealt with distractions. I know I have dealt with distractions. There are some times where I'm like, you know what, it's just a lot, and I like to go drive in my car. And so I've used it as a clear for my mind. But one thing that I have learned is be cautioned not to use an out or a timeout, I should say, as a means of a new way of living. When we do that, we give our heart room to grow colder, insensitive, and we're not able to converse, to dialogue, which is a fundamental key to building healthy relationships. So definitely make sure that you are looking at what do you do when you get injured, in the family unit there. Do you run to distractions? And distractions, they are not all bad. They are not all, the dooms, activity, but they do exist. And if they are not being used in a healthy manner, they can definitely create more offense, more hardening of hearts, more separation in families that can actually be resolved. The next area I want to talk about is we find ways to numb the pain. We're living in a time where we just kind of replace people like they're hangers in a closet. And so, what I'm here to say is, I want you to consider, what do you do to numb the pain when family members disappoint you? I want to ask you that question so that you can take a moment to really consider, when you get hurt, do you turn to a bottle? Do you start using whatever, substances that you may use? Do you drown in, television watching something that can foster a sense of a fairy tale because you don't know how to manifest the social relationship dynamics that you desire? Come on, that's deep right there. Anybody that has ever watched family oriented TV shows, because you have been daydreaming that you want and long for that to be your family dynamic, and just to, in a way, escape from the reality of what it's not. Well, I want you to definitely take into consideration and use some time this week to be able to write down some productive things that you can do to manifest that family unit that you desire. We can't make people change people, but what we can do is we can live our lives in a way that can compel people to consider change. And when we do that, we feel fulfilled. We don't feel regrets. We don't feel we should have, could have, would have, in our journey of life. And we have more capacity to do the things that we love. And so the final thing that I want to talk about is, I want to talk about that. I call it the drive-by. And the drive-by is when the pain hurts and you just quickly try to find some positivity out of what just transacted that hurt your feelings. I call that the drive-by because there are so many people out there that are literally going numb just to deal with the traumas, the disappointments, the frustrations, and the anger. We have so many people that are still afraid to feel. And what I'm here to say is feeling is a completely natural function for a human. Definitely, we should not allow our feelings to get away from us or take us away. But at the same time, we need to be able to acknowledge our feelings, what we're experiencing, and put them in the proper place and perspective. And so we're talking about this season, family forgiveness. And it is a major thing that when we have unmet expectations, it is, I'm telling you, a breeding fire to really create, offenses on top of offenses on top of offenses. But there is hope that if you challenge yourself to start confronting how you have handled things, even as you are maybe preparing to travel to see those loved ones, perhaps you can find a new way of living that can compel you that there's still a reason to hope, and perhaps you could be the one to change your family. This is Shayna Parker with Capital City Carolers. You are listening to the Christmas Carolers Conversation, where we talk about topics relative to society at large. And our goal is we want to draw people back to the heart of giving so that our society can dwell more harmoniously together. If you have any questions or you'd love to have follow-up conversation on this topic, you can definitely reach us. Our website is www.capitalcitycarolers.com. Have a wonderful one.